Hi, this is Karen. Thank you for clicking into Spiritual Intuitions. I'm here to do a daily read for the collective. I hope everybody is doing well. I would appreciate it if you would subscribe if you haven't, and share this video. It helps the channel. It helps me a lot in terms of what I'm up to, in terms of spreading messages. So I'm going to start with a rune, and I haven't pulled anything. So we're just going to go off at the top, and I have two. This one that looks like a Z, which is like I believe is how you pronounce it, and Manez. Iwas has to do, and I'm going off of the top of my head because I did bring my book, but I've been over them enough to be pretty clear that it has to do with, I want to say, death, and like a poisonous tree that shows up in a lot of the European graveyards. So they're indicators: poison, death. Let me see what the card says. Even though I don't have the book, I have a cheat sheet. Iwas, yes. Yew tree, Y-E-W tree. That's the tree I told you about. Inner journeys and strength and stability. So, not death, but those things. And Manez has to do with the community, with resources, with people in your community, with reciprocity in terms of relationships. And what my cheat card says about Manez is the self, humanity, and support. So those are the two ruins: thyself, humanity and support, and inner journeys, strength and stability. So what do those two have to do with one another? Well, what I'm hearing is that the more you do your meditations, the more you go inward, do your shadow work, the more you clear out conversations that were given to you. You didn't necessarily choose yourself, but they were given to you through society, through, that's Manez, through humanity, through our civilization and the way our norms and mores go. Those beliefs and behaviors that we were taught, but we didn't necessarily choose. The more you go in and see if those are working for you still, or if they ever did, or do they need to be changed? Do you have limiting beliefs based on something that either it worked for you at some point and now it doesn't, or it never did? But the more we do that kind of self-journey work, the better we're going to be able to interact and serve humanity, serve the community, serve other people. The better we're going to be able to deal in our personal relationships, because the more you know yourself, the more you're empowered, the better understanding you have of your human nature. That frees you up to let you know, okay, well, when you meet someone, well, is this person in alignment with what I value, what I believe? Is this person even aware? Have they done any spiritual work on themselves? Have they searched? Have they tried to see beyond what it is that was like kind of fed to you as you grew and matured? Or did you actually try to unveil some of the assumptions, some of the perceptions that you have, and go a little bit deeper into the self? When we do that, we become more stable within our own self, because we begin to know ourselves on other levels, on deeper levels. And when we know ourselves, it makes us a little bit more stable, and it makes us a little bit more clear in terms of who we are and what it is we want, or at least the road that we're on, where we're going. And so we can better recognize those who are on that same path, okay? They're telling me right now to go ahead and pull some cards to further illuminate what this message is for the collective. And, Menace could be looked at as the collective as well. That's any group of people, any part or of people. It could be a school, it could be an organization that you work for. All of those have cultures and mores and certain rules that people go by, certain, and they normalize certain kinds of behavior. That's what a culture is. When something becomes normalized in a behavior amongst a group of people, it becomes what they call a culture. And you can look at different companies' cultures and see, what their values are. You can look at different families' cultures and see what their values are. Now, it's not as easy with the families because we've been so mixed up these days, but still, there are certain identifiable markers or values that certain cultures go by. Okay, so Spirit, please give me a clarification. And I want to pull under the Manes to begin with. I'm trying not to get too messy. And it says thoughts, card number 16. And that is a guy thinking about a female. And it's related to, I pulled under the Manes card. So I'm going to read that because I have no clue, quite frankly, what that is. So when I read, I begin to channel. And so that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to pull that further clarification of that card number 16, which is thoughts. Now, 6 and 1 is 7. So in numerology, you might want to look up the number 7 or note if that number is significant to you in any way. It could be your life path number. It could be a number of things. This card represents the thoughts of a man the questionnaire is interested in. His thoughts are positive when not touching cards 8 or 14. 23. The card can also mean making plans. Southwest. This card perhaps Kipper's great gift. This card is perhaps Kipper's great gift. At last, a card directly addressing thoughts and matters of the mind. This card is generally positive. Here we meet the artist in his studio, adrift in his vision, and struggling to realize his perfect portrait of a lady. While traditionally called his thoughts, it may also represent the sitter's own concerns, preoccupations, and obsessions. Read the card around this one to learn all about the thoughts. The card above will generally be the main preoccupation, while the one below may be what is being avoided. In accordance to the question, when surrounded by challenging cards, thoughts may reveal things you didn't want to know. More abstractly, it can also describe a thoughtful person when next to a significator or other character card. Okay, so what I got when I was reading this card has nothing to do with what the book was saying. What I got was that sometimes as people, especially in like intimate relationships, we have thoughts that are we have our thoughts are determined by how much we're invested in a person. So if you have a mate and it's obvious to everybody that your mate is not faithful, that he's cheating, or and he lies to you constantly, and you choose to believe those lies, is because those lies are serving you, because you don't want to let go of the relationship. You don't want to let go of the time that you've invested. You've got something to lose. So it doesn't serve you to think and to have a perspective that is more based in reality. You prefer to stay in a fantasy about it because you have something to lose and you don't want to lose. So this is what this card is telling me, what I'm getting from that reading. Let me go ahead and pull another one for Aiwa's and see. Our perceptions, through our friends and through our family and through the community could be valuable at some point. We have to begin to understand and to discern when people are trying to support us and give us a heads up, and be willing to really just look at it and see if it's really important. I know at some point in my life I was at a point where I didn't want to hear anything from my friends or family that was bad about my mate. I found the mate, I liked them, I saw a great future. In my mind, it was made up what it looked like. It never was that, but in my mind, it was. And so I ignored what my friends and family told me. So this next card, oh my goodness, is community. So I feel like the reading is cautioning the collective to be mindful of what different perspectives there are in terms of something that is affecting you very closely, very personally. If you have different sources to draw different opinions, then check them out, test them, and ask your family, ask your friends if you're in question about a relationship that is very close and impacting you. Do they think that your partner is, if you have any doubt, do they think that your partner is cheating? Do they think that he's honest, trustworthy? A lot of people fear giving you a true answer to that question because they don't want to jeopardize the friendship and this, what they have with you. And sometimes when you tell people the truth, they get mad at you. So try, if you go and ask these questions, and I know a lot of people do this in the form of going to a reader and asking the reader, what do you see between me and I? What do you see about him? Is he, I've had some intuitions that he's, that there may be issues, or my family is telling me that there are issues, but I don't feel that there are issues. What do you see? And you get an answer, but don't ask if you don't want to see, if you don't want to know. That's what I always tell people when I do a reading. I'm like, hey, if you don't want the truth, then don't ask me. Don't ask me to do the reading, because I'm going to give you the truth as I see it, and that goes for anybody else in your life. If you want to ask somebody and get vulnerable enough to, if you trust the person enough, don't ask them if you don't want the truth. Now, but if you do, then by all means, go for it and seek out that information, because it's very valuable. And so what you want to do is you want to seek out both from your internal perspective in terms of putting into yourself, pouring into yourself, self-care, self-nurturing. You want to give more to yourself than you give to anybody, than you give to your children, than you give to your partner, than you give to your mother. You want to give the most to you. Because why? Because when you have a full cup, it overflows and everybody else can benefit. That's the point. You don't want to be giving from a half full cup, because when that happens, you start to get depleted. And it changes the dynamics of everything in terms of relationships with people. It changes the dynamic of the relationship with yourself, because basically what you're saying is you don't respect yourself when you start giving more than you can afford to give, when it's beyond what you have to give. And you know it's beyond what you have to give when it gets to a level where you're feeling depleted, where you're feeling very anxious, where you're feeling very jealous, where you're feeling very protective, where you're feeling very even angry. And it doesn't have to be an intimate relationship that it comes in. It could be a job that you just don't like because the culture of the company doesn't value who you are or what you stand for. It could be a religious organization that's telling you, you should shut up and be quiet because you're a woman and you don't agree with that. So it's up to us to take a look at the conversations and the rules and the values that surround our lives. And if they don't fit, then it's up to us to change those rules. But we can't change much if we're depleted. We can't change much if we're lacking, if we're needy. So if we're needy, we have to go within, because you have everything you need. You were born with it. It was God's gift to you. And you have special talents and abilities that no one else has. But do you know them? Do you know what they are? Are you using them? Are you trying to find them from within yourself? Happiness isn't something that is not something that is created from another partner or a good job. I mean, you may be happy, that may be a result of it, but truly and initially, happiness comes from within. And so going within, taking the time to honor yourself and to find out more about yourself and who you are and how you tick and what really matters, and filling your cup, taking those spiritual baths, doing cleansings, eating a better diet. All of those things are really important. Prioritizing yourself over others. And as women, it's really hard because we're taught to prioritize everybody else over ourselves. At least that's how I was brought up in the generation that I was in. And that's what I did for a really long time. And I wasted a lot of time doing that. Had I took on the responsibility and been able to face my fears earlier, sooner, I would have, not been where I am today. I would have been much further down the line in terms of my stability and my contribution to my communities. So, I know this is a little bit roundabout. I'm going to pull another card to see what else the Kipper has to say about this, to see their expectations of the community about their expectations and thoughts from this man. He has an ideal, an expectation. He's building a vision of what his woman should look like. What is the woman, expecting? What is she building? And where is she looking? I see her looking outside of a window, not within. I see her looking and expecting from the outer world. And that's not the focus that we really want to have in order to take ground, in order to really go deeper and do deep dive into what the solutions are and the issues are that we have. They're all within. So not to the daylight, but to the inner self is where we want to go. We want to take time and meditate. We want to take time and quiet. We want to have time just for ourselves, to pamper ourselves, no matter what. Maybe we journal every morning. Maybe we have a cup of coffee and we watch the sunrise and the sunset. And we just appreciate our health, our ability to be healthy, our ability to move, our ability to be creative. I don't know, there's a million and one things that you could do, but it's more about not so much the doing as the being nurturing to yourself, the being grateful for what you have, the being inquisitive and delving deep into who you are, and seeing if it works. And if it doesn't, being willing and having the courage to shift that, and if you don't have the courage and if you're not willing, are there some type of resources, some kind of groups that you can join to support you in taking baby steps? Maybe it's a coach like me that can take you on the path, not too fast, but step by step, patiently, to get to where you want to go. But first, you have to be the one to determine, hey, am I worthy of it? And if you are, how is it going to happen? Not, excuses about why you can't, but the question is, how can I have this happen? How can I do a deep dive with myself and really bring out my best qualities? How can I get to know the things about myself that I don't know? And how are those things impacting me? And how can I improve myself? What are the ways that I feel that I want to improve myself that will really work for me? But if you don't know that you don't know, if you don't know where to start, then a good place is a coach. Or if you don't have money for a coach, a good place is get a tarot deck and ask some questions. But get a tarot deck or oracle deck that you vibrate with. One that when you pull the cards, you feel like you're getting a vibration in one area or another, like it's vibrating with you on a level of truth, on a level of, yeah, this is the direction I should be going in. I always say disciplines, any kind of devotion to disciplines also works. Devotion to our bodies in terms of a regular exercise regime, or karate, or kung fu, or what else? Pilates. I love Pilates. For me, when I do Pilates on the reformer, what happens is you're pulling weights against your body. You're using your muscles to pull weights. And I get into this really grind, and I can grind out any anxiety. I could feel the negativity coming out as I'm pulling and resisting against the weights. I literally feel the resistance, just smoothing out. By the end of the class, I'm as light as a feather. So if you find an activity like that, do that. Any place is a good place to start. Just start, okay? And keep in mind that it doesn't have to look perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect to begin with. But it's important that we redirect our attentions and our ideals to, what the internal is first. And then we take and we do a check on what the external is. And we ask our community, hey, what do you think? What do you see? And you don't have to take that as word as, the one and only thing. When somebody tells you something, it doesn't mean it's the God's truth. It's their perspective. And keep it like that. Keep it light like that. And let people's perspectives, either they're going to vibrate with you as true or they're not. And if they don't, that's okay. But if they don't, just make sure it's not because there's something else that you're valuing more than you're valuing yourself. Make sure it's not a fear that's holding you back from going deeper into who you are and asking more of who you are and fulfilling more of who you are in this life, okay? All right, I hope that this has been helpful. You guys have a great day. Please click like, subscribe, and share. And I will see you soon. Bye-bye.